Why your brain deletes 90% of your life without telling you. Right now, there is a clock somewhere in this room. Ticking. You didn't hear it until I said that. There's also a feeling. Your shirt touching your skin. You didn't feel it until just now, either. Here's the unsettling part. That clock has been ticking the entire time. Your shirt has been touching you the entire time. Your brain received both of those signals in full the second they happened. And it threw them away. Not because it's broken, because it's working exactly as designed. Today, we're talking about the part of your brain that decides what reality even is for you, and why it's hiding almost all of it. Every second, your eyes alone send your brain the equivalent of about 10 million bits of information. Your ears, your skin, your nose, all adding more. Your conscious mind can process roughly 50 bits a second. That is not a typo. That's a gap of 10 million to 50. Your brain is receiving a fire hose and handing you a teaspoon. So somewhere between your eyes and your awareness, something is making a decision. Something is choosing which 50 bits out of 10 million you're allowed to know about. That something has a name. It's called the reticular activating system, a small bundle of neurons at the base of your brainstem, and it might be the most powerful editor you've never met. Think of your brain less like a camera and more like a nightclub with one bouncer at the door. 10 million people are trying to get into the club every second. The bouncer lets in 50. So how does the bouncer decide? Not randomly. The bouncer has a list, and you wrote it mostly without knowing. It prioritizes anything that signals danger. A sudden movement in your peripheral vision gets in immediately, no questions asked, because for most of human history, sudden movement meant predator or prey. It prioritizes anything tied to your goals. Buy a red car, and suddenly red cars are everywhere. They weren't more common last week. Your bouncer just added red car to the list because you told it, even unintentionally, that red cars now matter. And it prioritizes your name. Say 100 people's names in a crowded, noisy room. The one voice that cuts through the static is the one saying yours. That's called the cocktail party effect, and it's one of the most reliable tested findings in attention research. Your brain is ignoring almost every conversation in that room, except the one about you. This is why two people can walk through the exact same day and remember completely different things. Not because one of them has a better memory, because they were given two different lists at the door. In the late 1990s, researchers ran an experiment that's now taught in nearly every introductory psychology course, because the result is almost too strange to believe until you've watched it happen to yourself. Participants watched a short video of people passing basketballs and were given one simple job: count how many times the players in white shirts passed the ball. Halfway through, a person in a full gorilla costume walked directly into the middle of the frame, paused, thumped its chest, and walked off. Roughly half of the people watching never saw it, not didn't remember it, never registered it happening at all, even when asked immediately afterward. Their eyes received the gorilla. Every photon bounced off that costume and landed on their retinas exactly like everyone else's. But their bouncer had one instruction: count white shirts, and the gorilla wasn't on the list. So it was deleted before it ever reached conscious awareness. This is called inattentional blindness, and it doesn't just happen in a lab with a guy in a costume. It happens every time you're driving and focused on finding a street sign, and you miss the pedestrian. Every time you're scrolling your phone at dinner and miss what your kid actually said. The information hit you. It just never made the guest list. Here's the part that changes how you should think about your entire life. You're not experiencing the world. You're experiencing an edited highlight reel of the world, cut in real time by a bouncer that takes its instructions from your fears, your goals, and your habits. Which means two people can live in the same house, work the same job, sit through the same meeting, and walk away having lived, functionally, two different realities. Not because one is right and one is wrong, because they handed the bouncer two different lists. The anxious mind that's told its bouncer, "Watch for danger," will find danger everywhere. Not because the world got more dangerous, but because that's what got approved at the door. The person who's told their bouncer, "Watch for what's going wrong with me," will find evidence of that too. All day, every day. Confirmation bias isn't really a flaw in reasoning. It's the bouncer doing exactly what it was told. So if the bouncer is always working off a list, the actual question isn't, "Why don't I notice more?" It's, "What have I been putting on the list without realizing it?" Because here's the good news buried in all of this. The list isn't fixed. It's not written in ink. Every time you deliberately choose to look for something, evidence you're capable, people who are kind, progress you've made, you're not just being positive. You're rewriting the door policy. You're telling the bouncer what gets in next time. You are never seeing all of reality. No one ever has. The only real choice you get is which 10 million things to ignore, and which 50 to let through the door.